Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bit of a different stream. Me and Adam are going to talk about a recent Netflix series. So no lawn. So I'm waiting for the comments with people wins that we're not talking about lawn. But we did mention it on the last stream that we did, didn't we, Adam? And hello, by the way.
Hello. We briefly mentioned it. Yeah, I don't know if there's really much more we can talk about lawn with no new lawn content. I sort of feel like, can you really speculate any more on lawn?
Dude, we've been fucking milking that cow for about a decade. There's no end point to that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
We're
Well.
even talking about why we're not talking about it at the beginning of a stream that's got nothing to do with him.
Well. No, that's true.
That could be the title of the next stream. Let's not talk about Lorne anymore, but talk about Lorne and why we're not talking about him.
We just came here to do this stream to say that we weren't going to stream about him today.
Yeah, that's a cracker. And that concludes our stream.
So that's it, done, completed.
Yeah, is anybody here? It's a bit.
I don't know. I haven't even gone into YouTube yet.
Yeah, I think we're. And hello, everybody that's joined us, by the way. There's not, you see, usually, if Lorne's not in the title, there won't be. Anyway, let's get doing. Not keep prattling on about Lorne, is there? Although we could do. And it is kind of related to Predators, hence the title. And hello, everybody who's joining us, by the way. So, if you've not watched it, The Bad Influence, The Dark Side of Kidfluencing, I highly recommend it. And this is going to be full of spoilers, so
If you haven't watched, well, they were warned in the last stream that they need to watch it. So if you haven't watched it, it's no one's fault but yourself.
And the thumbnail is a picture of the series, and the stream, the actual stream has got a picture of it as well.
Is that the thumbnail from the actual show? Because it's a little bit Black Mirror, isn't it, with all the eyes blurred?
Yeah, I kind of just digged it up somewhere. It might be AI generated, but it's probably a good thing. It gives you a picture of all those sexy kids anyway, doesn't it? So,
Well, I mean,
you're choking on your own excitement there. Sexy kids, what the?
I just think we're like 10 minutes into, not even 10 minutes in, and you've used the phrase "sexy kids" already. It's concerning. I mean, I've always been the biggest advocate of your hiding. No, that you're.
Am I threatening your position?
No, I'm saying that you're a mad pedo, and the only reason you talk about Lorne is to hide in plain sight. And I've always been the biggest advocate of that. And so, but obviously, let's not make it too obvious. Anyway. But what I was going to say is, I'm sure you've got a lot more pictures than this.
What, even more pictures of sexy kids?
Well, yeah.
Well, if I was a closet pedo, I certainly would do, wouldn't I? I hope nobody can hear this. Yeah.
What, this live stream? I hope no one can hear.
No, I mean in my current establishment. It's being broadcast live. I hope nobody can hear this. I think you just pressed live stream. You fuck.
Yeah. Hit live stream, right? I'm going to tell you some secrets.
But don't tell anybody. Oh, wow.
Please don't record this to use against me at a future date.
Yeah, because once something's on the internet, you can never get rid of it. So don't be putting it on YouTube or anything.
Well, actually, that doesn't. In fact, something that happened in this show sort of proved that theory a bit wrong, didn't they? But I don't know if you want to save that bit if we're going to try and talk about it in somewhat chronological way.
Well, it's a few weeks since we both watched it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, really, because I think it kind of... I'm not one of them that goes through the trailers of Netflix shows and, checks what's coming out and stuff. It's just... I don't really watch a lot of TV. But if if I'm in the mood for it one night, I've got an hour to spare or something, I'll just flick through Netflix and then it'll come up with recommends. I mean, I'm pretty sure people don't need me to explain a Netflix. Anyway,
Yeah, explaining how Netflix works to people.
I
Yeah,
suppose I'm just
okay.
explaining that I didn't really know much about it, so I've kind of, in fact, I think we mentioned this last time, didn't I? I was 20 minutes in, called you and said, this is fucking really good. And you'd watched the entire series before I'd even finished the first episode.
Yeah, but I love
All
a
I did
good
was
binge
mention
watch.
sexy kids and you were all over it. You're like, what? Fucking, I'm there in a minute. You're like, please watch it and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's because then you told me to watch it, and then I was like, "Oh, this happened," and you're like, "Don't tell me, it's a spoiler." I'm like, "Why don't you finish watching it and then recommend it to me
Well,
so
because
that
I
then
did
I?"
explain that I don't watch a lot of TV, so it's just finding the time to do it. So I eventually watched it within a few days.
Yeah,
But
you see, I like binge watching if something's good. Like even if I end up staying up to the early hours of the morning, especially like if something's got a
well,
good episode, I'm like, I got to see the next one.
this is why we lead slightly different lifestyles in that respect. I could never sit up all night watching fucking TV. Um, Not anymore. But anyway, the point is, we both watched it, both enjoyed it, and the name is in the title, so it's about a group of kids that really it's kind of orchestrated by the mother of one particular child, and
Yeah,
they get a group of kids to. I think does it start with this specific kid's YouTube channel, and then really it's kind of just frolicking about on this kid's YouTube channel, like all these kind of practical jokes and chatting with them. And it was a bit cringe, but then I had to sort of self-check myself and go, well, it's for kids.
kids.
Of course
Yeah,
it's
kids
cringe.
are
It's not,
cringe.
yeah, it's like, he's like, hi, I'm Abby. I'm Dale. And like, we're going to do some crazy, it's like, oh, fucking hell, what is this shit? And then I was like, right, okay, this is, for kids. It's dramatized. It's like, it was interesting to watch because obviously we don't, or at least I would hope not, watch this shit. So when you see it, you're like, fucking hell, I didn't know stuff like this existed, really.
Yeah,
Um, but it was kind of a bit like initially you're like thinking it's pretty harmless, but obviously
yeah.
something's going to go wrong because there generally wouldn't be a Netflix series about it, would there? But initially it was just right. Let's get a load of. They got a load of kids together, pranced about, and then they developed a network, didn't they? Where there was a group of kids, really orchestrated by one mother. This Tiffany Smith, was that her name?
I think that's her name. I honestly can't remember now, but yeah, they made like a sort of like a lot of these YouTubers do when they kind of incubate in a house together and work together. Like what's that one? Team 10 or something, and the Sidemen and those. I don't know. I don't watch these channels, but I know that people do this. But this was like a little sort of clique, but just for kids, though, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah,
what were
it
they
was
all
called
about?
the Squad, wasn't it? So what they
The
did, I
squad,
think it
yeah,
was this Tiffany Smith. They got all these kids together, and I think some of them, whether it was after getting hooked up with the original popular girl, or I think it was called, was it Raquel or something like that? They all sort of fed into each other and networked, so they all leached off each other's popularity, if that's a good way of putting it. And
yeah,
they obviously scratched, it's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. So they were all directing people to each other's channels, and then it was all working very well, and they were making shitloads because there was like a few of my mates at work. They're like, well, a few of my mates. They've got like children round about preteen, and apparently a big thing now is kids watch these families. So there's a lot of families that pop up that stream their entire lives on YouTube. And that apparently is one of the most popular forms of entertainment for young kids now. And that was a bit of it's shocking because it's like, things have changed. But like when we were kids, I used to just get home at 4:15 after school and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then that'd be it. There'd be like two
yeah.
cartoons on 30 minutes after each other, and then there'd be nothing until the next day.
No, No, Grange Hill at 5 o'clock.
Well,
No,
yeah,
5:30 Grange Hill, wasn't it? And then Neighbours at 6 o'clock.
yeah. The point is, yeah, there was stuff to watch. There was like our American friends probably had better access to more channels than we did. We only had like four
Yeah, but
TV
we had
channels when we were younger, and yeah,
better quality.
there was a couple of shitty Australian soap operas which were shitty, but at the time we thought we were great. They were great because there were
They've
some
got
really fit women in it.
well, they were more popular in the UK than they were in Australia. I think I remember being at like primary school and everyone obsessing over Neighbours.
Yeah, I used to love it. Like, there's like some big stars, Margaret Robbie. I think even Russell Crowe. Oh, I
Yeah,
think he appeared on Home and Away actually. Guy Pearce was
yeah.
on Neighbours
Guy
as well.
Pearce, yeah.
Yeah, and
Isla Fisher was from Home and Away.
yeah, who was that? Who was the girl who was in Taken? She played the pop star, Oliver
Oh, I
Lance.
can't remember. Oh, Holly. Oh, she's so fit.
Oh, did
Uh,
you hear Adam? That? Whoa, yeah, it was like somebody popped it.
she was a pop star for a while though. After Neighbours, wasn't she,
Yeah, it
Holly
was.
Valance?
Yeah, she had a single called Kiss, which was dreadful, but must have sold bucket loads of desperate kid, adult type people wanting to kiss her. One would think, and do probably more.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, yeah. So
yeah.
the point is entertainment. It made me realise how much entertainment has changed for kids. Now it's something I've pondered on before, but obviously not in any detail, unless I was a real closet pedo, which luckily I don't think I am.
Chronic.
Yeah.
Chronic pedo.
Yeah, well, okay. But the point is, I don't really know and have spent too much time thinking about it. So it's just, it was a bit interesting. It's like, ah. And then I put two and two together, what my friends have said. And I said, right, this is what kids watch. Because it's kind of interesting. Because if you think about it, we used to just watch, cartoons and soap operas and shit. This is like a real life soap opera. So it's created in such a way that gives these kids an insight into other kids' lives. Now there is negative connotations of that which we probably won't go into too much here, in that these kids look like they're rich. They're in these big houses, they're in fucking hot tubs and whatever the fuck they're doing, and they're driving around, well, not driving around in cars, but they look like they're in luxurious surroundings, don't they? So
Right.
there's a lot of comparison going on, which anyway, let's not go down that road. Um, anyway, the point is you can understand why it's popular to kids, because it's like, I want this lifestyle. They look so cool, and I like her hair or whatever. And then even with all this, you're going to get sort of fixated on them, and it's like it was like they were telling little stories, weren't there? So there was always a little drama going on and all that. And then when did the first kind of things start to go wrong, or at least you
Well,
started?
that's what I kind of mentioned about wiping things from the internet. The first thing was the kiss, wasn't it? Or the first, like, obviously quite bad thing.
Well, we can get to that shortly. I think my initial thoughts were, is it healthy for kids at all to be put up in front of the camera? And the mum, this Tiffany Smith, was kind of an elusive character who, she didn't appear in the documentary much, because obviously they didn't interview her, because she ended up getting involved in all kinds of shenanigans. But you could tell the narrative was she was pulling all the strings and
Yeah.
making the kids. There was like a producer at some point that they got involved as well, and he was like creating the videos, and then I think she was directing them. And I just remember
Yeah.
thinking, is it healthy for them to be stuck in front of this camera and having these kind of? But I was thinking, well, not necessarily. I mean, it's probably hard work for them, and there probably is negative implications, but they were making a lot of money. It wasn't particularly harmful content, so I was like, maybe I'm just being miserable and old. It's like,
Well,
well,
there's a whole sort of different argument to be had here about whether it's okay for, because when if the kids are making money, but it's the adult that takes the profits, because kids can't like earn a certain amount, can they? So the money all has to be paid to an adult, and like there's a whole other argument about whether it's right to profit off your children and putting them in the public eye, and then also like the mental difficulties that many child stars before the internet went through and that sort of thing, like Drew Barrymore and um, Mickey Rooney. So, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that's
you're
a
always,
different conversation.
yeah, well, you're always going to have that, aren't you? It doesn't mean I mean, there's always going to be a demand for children in entertainment. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean, obviously, you could go, as far back as like popular entertainment, pop music, and child stars, Michael Jackson, and all the. I mean, he was a superstar from a very young age. That didn't end very well, did it? And then you've got, like you say,
Right.
Macaulay Culkin went through like a rough patch. So there is a lot
Yeah,
of. It doesn't really take a genius to work out that you're under a lot of pressure to be in the limelight. Adults can't handle it. I mean, if you look at, I know I'm getting a bit grim here, and I hope I don't want to offend anybody or anything, or get too grim. But there was the guy from One Direction, wasn't there?
oh gosh,
Is
yeah,
it was it
Liam
Liam
Payne.
Payne? I don't
Yeah,
know much about that group because obviously, it's not my thing. But obviously, I knew about them and I remember hearing about it. And I actually, when that group One Direction won X Factor, no, they didn't even win it. I think they came like second.
yeah.
But I remember
Well,
that year, and I used to watch it quite a lot. I mean, now I couldn't think of anything worse, but back then I used to really enjoy X Factor. And actually, one of the singers who came, I think she came second, called Rebecca Ferguson. I went watching her live. She's a really good singer, and I was kind of heavily invested in that series. Um, and then, anyway, they were formed, did really well. And then he was thrust into the limelight, and I reading between the lines and from what he said and the consequences of his death, I mean, he was already just becoming an adult. It was kind of fame that he couldn't handle, and he couldn't handle being in a
yeah.
boy band. But I suppose that could you make a direct link between that and sort of YouTubing? I don't know.
Uh, well, I mean, worse, but like Bieber, his career started on YouTube, didn't it? So,
You seem to know a lot about these young boy people, Adam.
well, I seem to know one fact about one of the most famous artists in the world.
He's one of the most famous artists in the world.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh dear, that's a problem, isn't it? Isn't Harry Styles like huge as well?
Hmm.
Hmm. Um,
Billie
Fair enough.
Eilish.
I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know anything about Bieber being. I knew who he was, obviously. I didn't know that he'd started on YouTube. What was he like? What was it? Was he?
Just singing, he just sung songs, and then someone saw him. There's quite a few like that. I'm trying to think who else. Is it Dua Lipa? Someone like that.
Right.
It's quite a few. They just literally sung songs on YouTube and got record deals through it, and then became massive artists.
I don't suppose it's any
Because
surprise, really, if you think about it, because it's such a popular form of media these days, and everybody, it's so like. Because if you think about what YouTube does, as well as people like me and you who can get away with doing a stream that not that many people are interested in, anybody can do it. People spend like any kind of so my sports team do live streams of press conferences on it. It's literally
yeah,
huge, isn't it? Everything that you can think, music videos, documentaries, news, Al Jazeera put your live streams on. So I suppose it's no accident that these stars are going to utilize it. So I suppose what we're getting at is um, it's
Bo
you.
Burnham.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? If these kids are
Yeah,
put on
yeah,
YouTube, it could go through the stratosphere, which in this case
yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of did. They got, you can see from the picture, they got like
Well, I
1
think with
million.
something like this, you would know you like, although they've got millions of subscribers, it wouldn't find its way into yours or I's
It
algorithm
might
because
do.
it's not. Well, maybe it'll find its way into yours. Yeah, but, um, But like my algorithm is all just like crime interrogations and F1 videos, so there's no
So you say.
reason that I would ever.
It's funny when I went
It
round yours and it was deleted. Like you can't log into
all
it. Why
fresh
have you just
expressions.
deleted your account, Adam?
I haven't. I just never used YouTube before that day.
Yeah, YouTube, don't know what you're talking about. Adam, we met through YouTube. You're some kind of crazy person. Dad, just kick
I
this
knew you
guy
could
out. Don't know
stream
who
on
he
it. I didn't
is.
know you could watch it.
Yeah. um, anyway, the algorithms we'll get onto later when we get to the real fucking dark aspect of this. Yeah, so obviously YouTube algorithms very clever, but I suppose it was no. There's so many things that can influence what makes these people successful. It's like you've got to be repetition. You've got to keep churning out content. You've got to have the right thumbnails. You've got to get a bit lucky, I suppose. With maybe a video goes viral like yours did on your scam baiting channel, because wasn't there one
Yeah.
video that kind of got millions of views, and that was kind of what spurned you kind of being able to do it, really, didn't it?
Well, yeah. No, I mean that was. It wasn't even a video I thought was particularly great. It just seemed. I guess again, that's just the algorithm played in my favor. But that was before 2018's. Um, oh, what did they call it? But the
Adpocalypse or
suicide.
something.
Yeah, the adpocalypse. Yeah, that was before there, when my style of comedy wasn't blocked from everyone, and I don't know what it was about it, whether it's the thumbnail or the title, or but yeah, for some reason that was much more popular than any of the others, and still is. Still make a little bit of money off that video.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. So,
but
well, it was the title, wasn't it? Wasn't
yeah,
it like a IRS scammer gets humiliated or something? What was it?
gets so frustrated he rage quits.
Well, people love rage quits, don't they? People love
Yeah.
people getting humiliated. People, it's no surprise really. And then, ironically, I think if I remember correctly, the picture of the video is you drinking or something.
It's me just having a sip from my water, yeah.
Oh right, I thought it was like you drinking a beer or something.
No, no, it's just a bottle of water. But I want to, like, I don't know. I think maybe it's quite sexy. It's a man drinking
Do
a
you,
bottle of water.
if you say so, if you think that's the reason it became successful, then yeah, great.
Well, yeah, but but yeah, but yeah, we don't, like, YouTube used to just randomly pick stuff and throw it in everyone's algorithms, and if you were lucky, it happened to you. But these days, it's not like that. But yeah, with these kids stuff, we wouldn't. It shouldn't be popping up in our feeds, but I'm sure there's lots of it out there. There's YouTube channels out there with probably 50 million subscribers that we've never heard of.
Oh yeah, there's loads. I mean, there's like kids that broadcast games. I know gaming on YouTube isn't a new thing, but like there's these kids and they'll just live stream games, and I think they've got like millions of
Well,
subs.
that's how PewDiePie started, and he was the most subscribed YouTube channel of all time up until a couple of years ago.
Wow. Anyway, so getting back to the narrative of the narrative, things started getting a bit weird with the Tiffany Smith. So it was like, they were frolicking around, the YouTube channel was doing well, and what seemed to be happening was the mother was behaving, this Tiffany Smith character was behaving in an incredibly questionable way. Now, if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong about this, the first thing that she did that was kind of a bit, didn't she kiss one of the guys? Oh, I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah.
This is what the documentary said anyway, and there wasn't a huge amount of evidence to. There was enough where, because they can be very cleverly manipulated in case you haven't seen Making a Murderer, which was fucking hell. But it seemed that, and it heavily insinuated that Tiffany Smith had the hots for one of the kids, the male. Now,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, he was 17. Is that right?
What? No, I don't think he was that old. Maybe he was 17. He was definitely under 18.
He was definitely under 18. He was basically someone that this adult should have been going nowhere near. And
Yeah.
apparently, like the documentary was saying that she was kind of obsessed with him, and there was a little bit of I think there was a little bit of odd footage, and they interviewed one of the other mothers, and they said, yeah, it
Well,
was getting a bit weird.
it's because she would use the dog as a character that would actually appear in the videos, wouldn't she? But she would like use the dog to say really mean shit to some of the girls that she didn't like, and then use the dog to say like, "Oh, this boy's so hot" and stuff. It was very odd.
That's right, yeah. Oh, you mean like a character? I don't
Yeah,
particularly
she
remember.
would put on that funny voice, and like she would be off camera, but she'd hold the dog as if the dog was talking to them. And the dog would be like, and it'd be like quite mean to like, so like say which would seem to happen quite often. One of the child female stars or whatever you want to call them was out of favor with the mother of the main girl, and so then the dog would say something like, "I've had enough of her. I don't want to see her in the squad anymore." And then like, but she wouldn't say it as the mum, just use this dog to sort of be like mean to the kids and that.
Yeah, so there was some questionable behaviour, and you're like, it started to take a different turn than what I expected the documentary. I didn't think that the mother was going to start potentially displaying predatory behaviour. And it got even like my jaw hit the fucking floor when the mum, if I remember correctly, kissed the fucking lad on camera.
Yeah, yeah, quite like snogged him properly
And
for
it was
like
so like distasteful. Didn't they blur it out? Which
I
really
don't
annoyed me.
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember you phoning me up saying, "How am I meant to ejaculate to this shit?"
Yeah, just a disclaimer that never happened, by the way. And if it did, it was purely a ironic joke, or an unironic joke, depending on. Um, yeah. So the point is, it was like it was pretty. I just couldn't believe it's like it was just weird on so many levels. It was like, what on earth is this woman doing, getting it off with this lad? What on earth? How does she think she can get away with it? Why does she think that behaviour is like acceptable? And also, it was like fucking hell, it's like a female pedo. And then I kind of remembered. It was weird. I remembered back to Catch a Predator special when they interviewed that annoying character Del Harvey, and
Yeah,
she's on a Twitter documentary today. Actually, it's pretty good. I'll tell you
actually.
about it. I'll tell you about it later. Um, and she was like, it's not for want of trying. She came across as dead like full of herself. Anyway, I remember babbling on that they couldn't catch female predators because there just weren't any. It's you just don't really get them. Um,
You do. It's just that the boys don't report them.
yeah, yeah, you
No,
really
you do though. There's been a lot in the news recently of like I've been watching
teachers.
quite a
Yeah,
lot of teachers hooking up with underage, and it's quite often female teachers with underage boys, and there's been a lot of cases of that recently. But also, I've been watching a lot of this channel. It's like a body cam channel recently. It's from somewhere in America. It's called like Midwest Body Cam or something. Um, and they're quite a couple of the recent videos I've watched on them has been them catching like female predators, but again, it's always like teachers. It's like people in a position of
yeah.
trust,
And I
like
used to think back to
women.
when I was a kid, and there was a fit maths teacher, and thinking, well, I wish she could have got it done with me when I was a kid. But of course, it's a bit different when it happens to your children, and it's not emotionally
Yeah,
healthy.
like if you're like a 13, I mean that's very young, but like if you're like a 13-year-old boy, you might think, oh, this is great, but you might not really understand what's happening. And so, but I think it's looked upon differently because female predators tend to be ones that are in that abuse their positions, whereas like you wouldn't find a woman just sort of hiding in the bushes at a school having a wank.
Well, it's more of
Whereas,
an emotional thing for women, I think. And I'm not, I don't know the exact psychology of it, shockingly, but with men, the way that men biologically are wired up, it's a very different motivation, I think. And that's probably why. it's generally women in positions of trust where they're like nurturing because they're a teacher, and then obviously they do things that they shouldn't be doing. Like there was a couple of teachers over here who got busted. In fact, I think there was a Louis Theroux documentary about it. It was one of, I think it might
Really?
have been one of the LA Stories ones. It was like three. It was a really good one as well. She was like,
I don't
she had a
remember that. I'll
kid.
have to
She
find
had a
that.
kid taken off her. I might have got
Oh,
this completely mixed up, but no, it was definitely Louis Theroux. Remember, I'll see if I can find it. But generally speaking, you don't see women like it for the reasons that we've said. So to see her do that, it brought up a whole host of questions in your mind, and then it took the documentary in a different direction, because as well as like you thinking that the kids are being exploited, because I thought
yeah.
that's the idea of it, you've got this money hungry mother behind the scenes who's just probably, it's like some kind of predator. It was just the most bizarre
Well,
thing ever.
she like, because then you found out how dark the stuff she was doing with her own daughter was.
Yeah, so I think that kiss was kind of was it in the first episode? I mean, it doesn't really matter if you go. There's like 3 episodes, by the way, guys. We've not mentioned it. But yeah, so then you're thinking about her, and then the the way it was going was that, she's behaving in a very, it made a lot of the kids feel uncomfortable, and then she was coercing them a lot into doing these different things. And then you're thinking, Christ, this is not going to end well. And then it started to say that the kids were getting a bit under pressure, weren't they? Because I think what happened is they were making a lot of money, weren't they? I think they threw a few figures around, but you're talking
Yeah, I mean,
millions
it wasn't
overall.
insane. I mean, it was like enough money for them to have that house and like with the outhouse and everything. But I don't think it was like tens of millions. I think it was like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, they were doing very well, is the point. And I
Yeah,
think they got a producer in, didn't they? So they got some guy in, and he ended up getting under a bit of scrutiny because he had some kind of involvement in it. So he was employed by this Tiffany character, and then he was kind of directing, or was he just producing the videos? I think he was just kind of producing it, but he had some kind of involvement in it. So,
yeah. Well, he
so,
was like doing a lot of the camera work and directing. Yeah,
so he put a bit of more of it. I think it was so they could get out more content. And I think, once you have a YouTube channel, it's got like 1 million subs, and you got all these different people. There's a lot of marketing opportunities available, isn't there? So how much kind of,
well, they were saying the kids worked like mad hours though, didn't they? Like they were working from like 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. and because it's not a business, so no one's actually there. They haven't got like HR department or anyone saying these kids need to have more rest.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was wondering, like, when are these people going to school and whatnot? It didn't really explain that very well, did it? But
No.
maybe they would just kept out. I mean, that would have been a form of abuse, or at least it would be over here if they were allowed to go to school. Anyway,
Yeah,
the
but
kids
the thing is,
seemed,
if you're making loads of money, you probably don't care that much.
well,
You
yeah,
know?
and my sort of original thing, thinking about, the kind of one of the main themes for me before she kind of started making these, kissing the kid, was how much is how much is this money going to corrupt the mother? So this Tiffany's in charge of everything, and she's getting the kids to work really hard. She's getting them to do all these crazy things. It gets quite edgy. Some of it potentially risque, shall we say? Definitely for kids. It's like how
Oh
far are you
yeah,
gonna how far are you gonna push these kids? Was what I was thinking. It's like, are they starting to get emotionally damaged by it? But then another part of me was thinking, okay, they're going to be worked really hard, blah blah blah. But it's probably no worse than what they would be doing if they were like having to study really hard for exams. They seem to be genuine friends. A lot of these people, and I think, wasn't it? something happened where they had to keep creating edgier and edgier material, didn't it?
Well, I think that was just they realized that was what was getting them more views or uh, clicks or hits or whatever you want to call it. And so they were like, they were like getting the kids to couple up, but then they would like break up and couple up with another one. They were like almost scripting like soap operas, but like they were having the kids kiss on in a lot of the videos. And there was one with a boyfriend and girlfriend where they were like doing different challenges to each other, and they said, didn't they, like, so the boy takes his top off and he's like, I dare you to take yours off, but she
That's right. It was the
doesn't,
kid that
and then
she fancied, wasn't it? That
mm,
took the top off, and he was explaining how he didn't feel comfortable, and then it was like, this is as close to like free pedo entertainment that you could get, and it was like, wow, this is pretty sick. Like, it
yeah,
wasn't.
well, but that was the market, because you're like, well, who watches this? Other kids. But personally, if I had kids, I wouldn't let them watch that trash, like there's properly well produced shows out there that my kids could
Yeah,
watch
but you
instead.
wouldn't be asked, would you? It'd be like, as long as they weren't getting it on or, snogging all the
Mm.
time. If there was like a one boy walking around with his top off, or they were like talking about, couples, kids that age, it wasn't like highly offensive. It was just a bit social. Hang on a minute.
But the girl, when they were making that video with him taking, like they said in the thumbnail, like she had to pull her top up. Do you remember it? And she's got like her top sort of pulled up just slightly, but like it's pure pedo bait.
Well, this is where it started to go. So when they created more edgy entertainment, what they basically, it seemed was happening is that we're catering for predators. They didn't really give a lot of detail on it, and I'm not too sure if it was entirely accurate. But what they were saying is, from the research, a high majority of the viewership was from adult males. Now,
Yeah.
what happened then was, I believe the main, was it this Raquel, this Tiffany's daughter? She kept receiving gifts and money. Was it
Oh,
money?
so yeah. Well, she would get money, but she would have to take phone calls from. It was a man, but like he'd introduced himself as being called Stacy or something, a woman's name. Might not be Stacy, but it was definitely a woman's name. And then, like, when they interviewed the other uh, kids who are no longer like associated with them, they were saying that like she'd have to go off and speak to this guy for half an hour. The little girl, this is the daughter, because he was sending them donations and gifts and things.
But it was expensive stuff, though, wasn't it? And don't
Yeah.
forget, they were already doing very well. But this guy was sending them like really expensive, excuse me, really expensive gifts. And it was like, oh wow, you knew what was going on. I mean, it basically told you that this is an unsavory character. What was it that he wanted in return? Was
Well,
it anything specific? Well, I mean, we know obviously, but
no, but she was sending. The mother was sending the daughter's used underwear to her, to him.
no. And this is the mother, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And that was like, you just at that point you were like, wow, this is just insane. But
Well, that's the way that was filmed was quite heartbreaking as well. There wasn't, 'cause it was the interview of one of the mothers of the other kids, and she said she came home and she said, "Mum, why would an old man want to smell a little girl's underwear?" And the mum was like, "What are you talking about?"
sounds
And
like
that's how.
McFetridge, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You want me to wear them for 3 days straight? Yeah. It's not funny, but we can. It just
That's
made me laugh in the original segment where the voice actor, the replaying the chat log, and it's just the way he says, "Yeah." Like, it's just, it just made me laugh. I don't know. Yeah, but like, and as well, that's one of the more, because McFetridge has always been one of the most disgusting characters, and the underwear thing was like just, it was just, I can't get my head around stuff like that. It's just really like, that's like sadistic. It's just, and of course, you're watching the documentary, you're seeing all these kind of cute kids running around and kind of innocence about it to a degree, and then this guy's sent their underwear, and you're like, oh no. That was like the start of where it was just like that's when it took the darkest turn, wasn't it? It's like it's only going one way, this, and then of course it got worse with the mother's antics, didn't it?
Well, yeah,
So
but I mean, she was basically, in a sense, prostituting her child.
So they started to do what they had was like these segments, and they wouldn't call themselves couples; they called themselves crushes, wouldn't they? So you say my
Oh
crush
yeah,
is Adam, and Adam is, it's like I don't know. And then they'd have these little innuendos going on, and they wouldn't like get it on, but they'd be dressed in a very almost provocative
provocative.
way,
Yeah.
wouldn't they? And it just wasn't something that you think kids should be looking like. And the thumbnails
Well,
are,
kids shouldn't be making, and kids shouldn't be watching.
yeah, it's like the thumbnails were provocative, the titles, and it was just, it wasn't surprising it went down this route. It was like, right, because they kind of, if you get that amount of money and you're not necessarily, you've seen it all before, there's a very good chance that you're going to do anything to stay there. You're going to do anything to keep that money flowing in. You're going to be getting a bigger mortgage, etc., etc. You're going to have all these plans, and then it's like, I know, we'll cater for the pedos, and then they start wearing less and less clothes, and then
Yeah.
it just started to go very wrong, didn't it? And then what was it the mum had them doing even more? She was like abusing the kids, weren't she? Like in a sexual way.
Was she? Oh well, I mean, that was, yeah. Like in the last episode, they were saying that I think she was trying to coerce one of the girls to give that director guy a blowjob, wasn't she?
Yeah, but I mean, it was a bit sketchy that, but there was something in it because there was like there was lawsuits involved afterwards, and there was a
Yeah.
settlement. Spoiler alert, but of course you know that anyway. So, yeah, it basically she ended up getting sued. I believe there was an out of court settlement. It all went wrong. Um, some of the kids were interviewed, and they were. I don't think there's any kind of huge kind of, well, I don't know. I think they were obviously, I don't know if they were severely traumatized, but I don't think, the overall experience wasn't a good one for them. Um,
Well, no.
and also it was talking about like, one of the interesting aspects of it was there was laws brought in years and years ago to sort of protect child stars from getting like financially abused by the parents. But it didn't apply to YouTube
Yeah, yeah.
because obviously with it being such a sort of new and unique form of medium, that these parents could get away with what they wanted, which is how that Tiffany was able to do what she did. Now, how much of that money went to the children performers, if you will, who knows? But yeah, it was kind of it went a bit dark, and then they ended up having to leave YouTube, didn't they?
Oh, they got demonetized, didn't they? Or so? Oh, fuck, yeah. Oh, fuck. I completely forgot to tell you. Shit.
Spoiler.
Um, so, like, yeah, I tried to Google it after the show, and this just shows how fucked up the world is. And I went on Reddit to, like, Google the show, and it was just people showing pictures of her ass, the little girl. Which, I mean,
What?
she's, yeah.
But, Jesus. So hang on a minute. There was a Reddit post about people perving after this girl who's now an adult.
Literally, so I, like, typed in the name of the
Of
show, or I
course you
typed in
did. They've
her name.
typed in the name of the girl and said, "Hey, Mitchy, topless." Images
Well, no.
search,
So this is, so the, yeah, no, the mother,
dark web.
she's on like something. It's not OnlyFans, but it's very similar. But you can be like
Yeah, well
13 to be on it.
that's what. Yeah, that's well, they mentioned that in the show, but you're saying there were Reddit posts specifically where people
Yeah.
were looking at pictures of this.
Well, people have obviously bought the pictures and then they've shared them on Reddit.
Yeah, well, this is why I
And
said
there was very
spoilers.
little
So
like people talking about. There was like some people in the comments saying, this is really sad that this has come to this, and this is what this girl's life is selling pictures of her in skimpy outfits when
so
she's still a child.
so basically, what happened at the end was this mother, because they couldn't go on YouTube, they went on a different social media platform. I had no idea what it was called, but you can get away with sticking. In fact, if I just look at my favorites tab now, I'll tell you it's called. No, honestly, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically where
Yeah,
you can get away with putting kids on there. At the time, I don't know how old she was. She must have been 15, 16, something.
yeah,
And they showed a clip, and she was just dressed in what was not that far away from a bikini. It was like really skimpy outfit. It was she had like makeup on, if I remember. She was like a 15, 16-year-old trying to look like.
oh yeah, no, they were like, didn't she have her tongue out and stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right. Oh Christ, yeah, yeah. Um,
did you just ejaculate?
oh God, yeah. What? No, but it was pretty. It wasn't. It wasn't like. It was pretty. It wasn't pleasant to see at all. Even for it was quite shocking, wasn't it? Because you were imagining what type of people were going to see this. Because basically, this website was set up specifically for predators to go in. It was like an OnlyFans for predators that was somehow legal, and
Yeah,
that's what this Tiffany character did with her daughter. They stuck them on there because they were clearly making money, and it was like, oh my God. And it was, that was it. How much money was involved, I have no idea, but it must be a decent amount if they kept doing it. But that's ended up what happening. So the YouTube thing went wrong. Then they had to change to this new platform. They were allowed to get away with it, and that's why I kind of said a free lunch for predators, because these predators go on there, and it's like an OnlyFans, and then they can get whatever it is sent to them. I wouldn't like to think.
no,
How regulated that
Jesus.
is, I don't know.
Yeah,
Because the thing is, if you think about it, the videos that she was doing, like prancing around in skimpy outfits with, showing a tongue and all that, there's nothing illegal about that, is there?
no,
So it's kind of like that's probably why you're allowed to get away with it. Now, what if they were given any exclusive content? I'm not sure what it was, but it was just the mother just decided to put her on show for these predators, and that was
well,
like it was pretty shocking, wasn't it?
it is, but it wasn't really surprising because, like, she'd already like had her daughter talking directly to that guy. Um,
Yeah.
so
So
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if she would like fully pimp her out.
yeah, um, yeah. So it was just it was interesting because it showed me a side of like YouTube that I'd not seen before, and reminded me that there's some terrible parents out there, which of course we know. But when you see it, because it's like exploiting children in that way. But in her own head, she might be thinking, I mean, if you put aside her predatory impulses, she might be thinking, well, it's great for the kids because I'm making as much money as possible and it's great for their future. But the damage that will be done to him in the meantime, and I'm sure most good parents, if not all, would never pimp out the daughters for some predators, even if it is just
No,
images. It doesn't matter how much, because like you say, it's not, those images are not going anywhere. They're there forever, aren't they? You know.
well, yeah,
So
well, but they managed to get. I mean, I suppose they found it for the documentary, but they removed that video of the mum kissing the boy, didn't they? Pretty
yeah,
quick.
yeah. So yeah, that was it. And if anybody's not seen it, there's probably no point watching it now, really. But yeah, but no, it was. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we? When you see a documentary that's kind of shocking and it's got like offensive content. You say, "Oh, that was great." It kind of feels weird saying that, doesn't it? Because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I really watched all these kids, really enjoyed watching all those kids get abused.
Well, I don't think it's like. I think enjoy might be the wrong word. Like compelling is probably a better way. I mean, I watched a really good documentary about the mall shooting in South Africa. Like
Yeah,
that's really
I
dark subject matter, but it was really interesting.
yeah, and I think true crime is one of the most popular, if not the most popular genre with on the Netflix and whatnot. We mentioned that before, and it's kind of like I think it's why Charlie Brooker did a parody of it in Black Mirror, the last season, the one in Scotland. What was it called?
Yeah, Lock Henry.
I really enjoyed that episode. It's brilliant.
Yeah, my dad doesn't like Black Mirror because he doesn't get it, but he liked that episode.
Um, yeah, so it's an interesting side to us, isn't there? Because I know some people who hate sort of true crime and those type of documentaries, but not many. Most people I know love them. There's some people I know that literally that's all they watch. And I found
Yeah.
myself as well. Um, I was thinking about before I went on my last kind of retreat, my meditation retreat. I've kind of not interested as much in them anymore. So maybe it did some kind of good. But I remember thinking, getting back and sort of assimilating back into normal life and going, why was I watching that so much? I think I was like addicted to the negativity of it in a way. It's really strange if you really do some self-inquiry. I still enjoy it, but nowhere near as
I
much as I
think it's
used to.
more. I think more for me, it's like a comfort thing. Like I'll never be in that situation, but it's like Schadenfreude, isn't it? It's like I like
Well, I
to
don't know,
watch
dude. I don't know whether that counts for all of it.
uh a bit voyeuristic, a bit. It's because it's real, isn't it, rather than scripted. So it's interesting.
Or are we all just
Um,
sick and we love to see misery and death?
I don't know. I don't know. Like. I don't think it's like misery. Like I like interrogations that aren't just about murders, but I suppose the majority are always murders.
Mm,
Uh,
I'm, yeah. Um, but it was compelling. Gripping is a good word, but yeah, enjoyable
yeah.
is probably not the right term. But yeah, so just to talk about that, really, I thought it was kind of interesting. It brings up some interesting themes. If anybody's got some insight they want to add in the comments when they listen to this retrospectively, maybe. I do appreciate everybody coming here. I know it's not lawn related, but we do enjoy talking about these different things every so often. And of course, it is slightly related to the sort of predator aspect because the thing is, it's like I was thinking about the sort of the free lunch for predator things. It's like there's not that this justifies it in any way, but if these people want kind of content like that, they're going to get it, aren't it? It doesn't mean that you give it to them on a plate, does it? Um, you know, because there's
Well,
like
at least make them have to work for it.
at least pay make them pay at least, which I suppose is what these people were doing.
Well, so what you're saying is
It's
it's
all right as long as
pedos are
they
fine
pay.
as long as they pay.
I suppose what I'm
So
saying is,
in conclusion,
in conclusion, the point I was trying to make was there's a lot of like you could say like music videos and stuff, and there's all kinds of videos. Do you remember S Club Juniors? That was a bit wacky, wasn't
yeah.
it?
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but the rumor was S Club stood for Sex Club.
Well, it was a deliberate marketing ploy, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah,
it was like provocative, wasn't it? So
yeah.
that's why they did it, and it's trying
Well,
to entice teens.
do you know what I was thinking about the other day was when the Sun ran a countdown to when Charlotte Church turned 16.
Yeah, and also the media over here, in case any of our American friends doesn't know, she was a very kind of she was like a choir singer, very like famous one,
Opera
opera
singer,
singer
yeah.
over here, and a choir singer. Um, and for some reason, the British press became obsessed with her to the point where Jonathan Ross kept asking her if she was like in a sexual relationship with the boyfriend at the time. This was when she was like, probably 18,
I don't,
19 or something. It was just
yeah,
weird, and it just what a bunch of perverts we are, And she used to be on the
yeah,
front of the paper every day, and she was very young when she started off, but yeah, and then the newspaper did a countdown to her turning 16, so they could, I don't know, legally print a copy of her ass. I don't know.
well, I don't know if they could anyway, because don't they still technically have to be over 18 to show graphic? Well, I suppose she's not going to do graphic photos, but like they were just basically having a countdown to when she would be legal. Like,
Uh,
oh yes, once Charlotte turns 16, she's promised the whole of the UK we get a go.
so did you try?
I mean,
Are you still waiting?
I'm still waiting to hear back. I sent a letter. Dear Charlotte,
I
I
think you
hear.
sent a death threat.
No, I was very polite. I just said, "Dear Charlotte, the Sun says you're going to be
Put it
legal
out.
soon."
I'd like to personally volunteer myself. I
Yeah,
could definitely be gentle with you.
yeah. I just said, yeah, that. But yeah, no. Just came back, returned to sender.
Oh, mercy. Anyway, right, I think we've milked this cow dry.
Well, I got some ideas for some features for future streams. Well, two ideas I wrote. Well, they're just sort of words at the moment. I haven't.
Yeah, okay, I'll look forward to this.
Well, yeah. So I thought you could do a feature called child or midget.
What? I like it.
Yeah. And and the other one was going to be called pedo for a day. And I thought that
Would
might
you
just
like
be.
to expand on that a little bit?
Well, I thought what you could do is get like a
Me?
GoPro and just and spend like film a whole day in your life.
Peter for a day. Well, if I was, I don't think that'd be a good idea, would it? I mean, it might result in me getting incarcerated.
Uh, all right.
Peter
Well,
for a day.
I think child or midget's got legs, but we'll have to
What have
think
they?
about pedo
Not
for
very long ones.
not very long ones, obviously, but.
How far away are they? Uh, right, yeah, well, look forward to the next features coming up, guys, on this channel is Pedo for a Day and Child or Midget. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
good.
that actually sounds like it'll probably be the best stream you've done ever.
What was that thing you said on a stream ages ago about midgets that was like so provocative you offended some people?
Well, I don't know, and I don't remember this.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember. I don't think I can repeat it though. When you was
Ah,
like,
you tell me afterwards. Don't repeat it if I offended people.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I can't repeat it. We don't want to go through all that again.
All right, I'm
Mad
gonna have to
Crackle
check out
Ornography.
Time Wanker. Sorry.
Yeah, Mad Crackle Ornography is still waiting for Time Wanker Part 1.
No, he's saying it's out. I think he's made it.
Oh,
I'm gonna have
right,
to check
cool.
it out.
Hey, have you seen what's happened there, Adam? You're so slow at manifesting your ideas. Mad Quackle Ornography's actually done it for you. What does that fucking say?
That's exactly what I was hoping to happen, but he did also come up with the title, to be fair, so that's fine.
So he came up with the title and produced it. You didn't even do anything.
I'm hoping that some of my ideas for the storyline will have been included.
I think he might have written you out of it here. But yeah.
Because, well, no, I'm hoping it's going to be a bit like what I suggested, where it's like Lorne suck. I thought we were going to get through a whole stream without this.
That was
But
impossible.
Lorne and his brother, but then it turns out that Lorne was imagining his his brother the whole time.
time.
The midget.
Oh yeah, can't wait. Well, man,
Yeah.
crack along, Rugger. Let us know when part two's coming out. The midgeting. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you about that provocative thing you said anyway, very shortly.
Oh, do you know what would be cool? Is like if you did a show where it's like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, but it's with predators, and like like McFetridge can take you out to Walmart shopping. Lorne could take you to Walmart and suggest what you could wear.
Okay.
Yeah, like they could show us all their fashion trends.
Well, I mean, those two predators that you've picked there didn't really have much fashion about them, did they? T-shirt,
Well,
shorts, oversized T-shirt, extra extra large for McFetridge. He slavers all over it. Oh, never mind. But
I don't think I can't think of a well-dressed one at all.
oh,
Maybe
there's
Shin,
loads.
Thomas Shin.
What
Uh,
about someone turned up in a tuxedo? Or am I just imagining the room?
I think you're just confusing it with the room.
That's a good question. That right before we're gonna go. Who was a well-dressed predator?
Yeah. I don't think
Now
anyone
think
turned
of
up
the
in a tuxedo.
no. Did anybody turn up in like a blazer or like a suit jacket or
Oh, Maury Swollen, didn't he?
no? He just had like, as I remember, he just had like a polo shirt. I think you're just
Oh,
thinking
exactly.
because he's kind of like upper
This
middle
tall,
class or
dreamy doc.
something.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. The rabbi had a blue shirt, if I remember correctly, and he was a bit tubby, so he didn't look particularly smart. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, we're struggling
yeah.
here, aren't we? There's no
There was
suits.
the
There was
guy
no
in the
tuxedo.
SpongeBob jacket.
The guy with the cowboy hat, he was well dressed. Yeah, he was kind of.
Oh, it was. He had like a waistcoat with no arms, right, and nothing under it.
Well, it was kind
I
of
mean, it's
like in his own way
fashionable.
smart. He was going after a certain look, wasn't he? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have that.
yeah. I
Thanks,
mean,
thanks for bringing that up.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. He was. I suppose some thought had gone
Yeah,
into
there was
his.
something there, wasn't there? Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
right. Anyway, we can't spend the rest of my evening trying to think of some well-dressed predators. Anyway, thank you for
yeah,
joining us, guys. I appreciate your input, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's something a bit different, but we do like these every now and again. And we've got Adam's bizarre features to come next, so that'll be entertaining. So, no hope for me. I love the quick phrases that Chris used to come out with. What sort of consulting is going on today? Oh, nothing.
he's been doing new stings, right?
Yeah, there's shitloads of them now. I don't really enjoy the new ones at
Have you?
all.
What? I've not watched any of them. I should probably check
Yeah,
them
they're a
out.
little bit like the British ones, but yet he's doing it, and they're a bit dull, and the characters are boring. It's just like nothing will compare to Teacup. I don't even bother with them anymore. It was such a unique show. It was full of characters.
Yeah,
It was all kind of new, and they didn't know they were going to potentially get caught, and it was just a different time. The Predators are much better now back then than they are now. They've really gone down in quality.
yeah,
Get your act together, Predators.
yeah.
Um, fucking lousy pedos. Right, okay. We'll have to wrap up. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Leave any comments if you're watching it after the event. And yeah, we'll catch up with you soon. See you later.
See ya.